What's up guys, welcome to another video. This is Charlie Lin. In this video today, let's cover a couple of more ASIC miners. The couple of miners we're going to cover today include L7 Antminer, KD6 Gold Shell Miner, S19J Pro Antminer, Watts Miner, and finally DR5 Antminer. Before we cover any of these models, let's talk about a very interesting and useful topic. What is the relationship between the price of the cryptos and the price of the hardware? Does price of the hardware necessarily go up and down when the Bitcoin value goes up and down? For example, in the past few days, we have seen the crypto chart very ugly. For example, the value of the Bitcoin has dropped from 47,000 to 39,000 to 40,000 US dollars, which is approximately 15 to 20% drop. Okay, so you might be wondering, there is a crash in Bitcoin. Is there already a crash in the value of ASIC miners? My answer is no. In the past, I also had this kind of misunderstanding. I was expecting the ASIC miner distributors and sellers to drop the price when there is a drop in the Bitcoin value. However, in most cases, the fact turned out to be the opposite, or at least it looked very confusing. In most cases, I have not seen any changes in the hardware prices, or in some extreme cases, I have seen the price going up. It's so weird, it's so confusing. It is against human nature, or is it? Imagine you have a bunch of ASIC miners here in China. Are you going to drop the price of your ASIC miners immediately? I don't think so. That is also human nature. I mean, the human nature of the buyers is to assume the price of hardware will go down at sync with the value of Bitcoin. How are we going to actually address this question? How does the price of the hardware go when there is small or big changes in the crypto chart? My answer to this question can be summarized from two perspectives. In the long-term perspective, the value of the crypto chart definitely has a big influence over the price of the ASIC miners. But in the short term, the price of the ASIC miners doesn't necessarily, and in most cases, never gives immediate response to the price of the crypto chart. Why? Because we cannot assume all the sellers out there in the market of these ASIC miners bought their machines at their original factory price. These miners could have already been swapped in too many hands, which means the price that they got the machines at probably didn't necessarily give consideration to the drop, or they really didn't expect this kind of big crash. But in the long term, the human nature still works. When you see there is such low profitability on these ASIC miners, you are definitely going to have to drop your price. Otherwise, you cannot sell them out. You will have to hodl the machines forever and never be able to make a sale. How are you going to withstand that kind of suffering? The risk is too high. The human nature works both from long-term perspective and short-term perspective. Okay, pretty much about my personal analysis on this topic. If you think that you have a different insight, please don't hesitate to share your opinions in the comment section. I'm sure the discussion surrounding this topic is definitely going to be invariably interesting and changeable. The only thing that doesn't change is the change itself. Okay, without any further ado, let's cover these miners one by one. The first miner that we're going to talk about is L7 Miner. We have covered this miner many times in our previous videos. Why do I bring about this miner again? Because there are so many changes about this miner in the past few weeks. Let me tell you the latest update. In the past week, we have seen the mass delivery of a big stock of L7 8800 megahash Antminer. What does that say? That comes back to my earlier suggestion about this miner. It is that try to choose the lowest version as possible. Why? The priority in mining is to get your investment back. It is not about chasing these advanced specs. It is not like chasing the latest MacBook models, DJI drone models. It's different than shopping. Mining is investing. Why do I think the 8800 megahash of L7 Miner is the most reasonable? Because the price is really 5 to 10% lower than the 9050 megahash version. Likewise, the price of the 9050 megahash version is 5 to 10% lower than the version of 9300 megahash. The actual hash rate difference among these models is very small. It is only 250 megahash, which is about only half unit of L3 Plus Antminer. Do you really think it makes a lot of sense to pay $2,000, $1,000 more just for half unit of L3 Plus used miner? Why do everybody is still chasing this 9300 and 9050 megahash Antminer? I don't know. I think it's just human nature, or they just didn't use their calculator. I do think the market response is quite different from this math. which I think is sensible and careful deliberation. Okay, when I come to this comparison, maybe it correlates with, again, the first topic that I try to cover in the beginning of this video. It is, if it's not the crypto value that affects the Asic Miner market immediately, what really affects the Asic Miner prices in the short term? It's the supply. The price of the Asic miners in the short term really depends on the supply of inventory of this particular set of models. Let's imagine if in the market there is only 3 L7 9050 megahash miners, and at the same time there are 10 buyers or 100 buyers fighting for this same model. What do you think will be the response in the price? Of course, they're going to add a lot of margin for this model. Or at the same time, there are 50 8800 megahash of this L7 miner. What do you think their price would be? Of course, the price of this lower model is going to be much more affordable, simply because there are too many sellers of this 88 megahash model. In the past week, I have seen absurd numbers over these 9050 megahash L7 miner, especially from Shenzhen. I don't know why. The price of the L7 9050 megahash machine in Shenzhen is like 10 to 15% higher than the 88 megahash version of L7 miner in Hong Kong. Why do we have to pay these crazy numbers for just slightly a little bit of upgrade? It makes no sense. Again, this is not a financial advice. You really have to do your own homework really well. Whether or not you're gonna buy any of these L7 miners, I hope at the end of the day, you're gonna be happy and you should feel very smart about your decision. We're not boys, we're men when it comes to mining. Okay, the second miner I would like to talk about is KD6 miner.